Hello, welcome back. This is my first video of 2026, so I hope everyone had a great holiday season. Brian made me this t-shirt, so I win. She made this. Like, look at that. Made it. Today's video is one I'm really excited about. It involves two of my favorite things, woodworking and pizza. There's a great small business here in Hamilton called 905 Hotbox Pizza, and they're a mobile pizza maker. They'll drive up, set up their trailer, which has a wood-fired oven on it, and make pizzas right there in front of you. They'll go to festivals, events, farmers markets, which is where I got to know them at the Ottawa Street Farmers Market here. They'll even go to your house and make pizzas if you want them to. They are so good, highly recommend them. So I was talking to them one day at the Ottawa Street Farmers Market, which is in my neighborhood, and Matt asked me if I had ever thought of making a pizza peel before, which is the paddle that you take the pizza out of the oven and put it on with, you know. That's my best description. And I had never thought of that before, but it is a perfect merger of two of my favorite things. A short while later, I received a text from Matt's partner, Alana, asking if I would be willing to make one for Matt as a birthday gift that she was going to give him. I was thrilled. Not only that they were asking me to make something, but that I could attempt to make a pizza peel. So I use this program Moblo to create my mock-ups and designs. This lets you model things in 3D using simple shapes. And then it gives you a parts list to help make it easy to break it up into pieces, and gives you measurements so you know how much wood to buy. So I sent this over to them to give them an idea of what I was thinking. They loved the design, so off to Exotic Woods I went. So I grabbed some 1/2-inch walnut and maple. The walnut will be the handle, and it will carry on all the way down through the peel with some maple on the other sides. Load that up in the car and got it home and started measuring. They always say measure twice, cut once. I think I measure like 4 times, just to be sure. That's our pizza peel. Here's an example of the markings I make when I measure things out. My table saw blade is 1/8 of an inch, so I mark where I'm gonna cut, and then I mark again 1/8 of an inch away from that, just so I know exactly where the blade's gonna go, and it helps me with my measurements. I don't know if that's necessary, but it's just a thing I do, and it's helped me. So now it's just time to cut all these pieces to size. I leave them a little long. As you'll see later, some of this still gets trimmed away. So this is cutting close to what the final size will be. Now I don't really remember why I did this. I'm cutting an edge off the walnut, the rough edge, so that I've got a nice square board. But then I come back and I measure the actual width that I want the handle to be, and I cut it again, which I think I could have just done on the first pass, but don't remember what I was thinking there, but that's what I did. Okay, now we've got these boards to cut. We have one nice clean reference edge. Now we're gonna cut them to width, which is 6 inches for this guy. So that's our handle. This will be the paddle along with that guy. Let's do this. So here I'm trying to figure out how wide I want the maple sides to be. But then it dawns on me. I'm not gonna actually cut these down. because they are 6.5. So that gives me some breathing room. I'll trim the rest off when I cut out the pattern on the bandsaw or the scroll saw. So I'm done with these cuts. These I got from Teg's Tools here in Hamilton. They sell the clamps and the pipe. So, love them. It's gonna be a bit of a tricky one because, as you can see, that walnut wants to pop up because of the weight. Just got my tape measure here holding it for now. That should be enough. One thing I always do before I get the glue open is do a dry fit. Make sure it all comes together nicely, but also do a final measurement because, I mean, if I've cut any of these too short, kind of screwed already, but just as a final triple check, I'm gonna do final measurements and just do this dry fit, and then we'll get the glue out. And for the handle, we got 32 and 3/4. Love it. We're all good to go. It's time. Use tape on 3 because it's the best. So put glue on either side of this, on the inside. Glue, 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 glue. Ta-da. So here comes the moment that proves I'm not very good at filming myself. This went on far too long before I noticed. But basically what I'm doing in the background is clamping it with the pipe clamps, and then I have these strips of plywood that are called cawls that I've wrapped in packing tape, and I put one on top and one on bottom, and that helps keep everything nice and flat. If you haven't noticed. Okay, just water soluble, so I can wipe up most of the glue. Makes it easier later. That's it for the glue up. I'm gonna let this set up probably overnight because I have some other stuff to work on, but I'll be back in the morning. We're walking this. Ugh. This thing's awesome. It's a scraper. It's got a nice, I'm not really sure what this is. It's kind of like a card scraper. And a nice little handle. Yeah. Now here's the pattern I made. So I made a vector of the 3D Moblo design that I had created. And then I printed that out on multiple pieces of paper to be the actual size I wanted. And then all I had to do was trace it onto the actual peel. I used a scroll saw to cut this out. And this might not be the best tool for the job, but I had never used a scroll saw before, and we just bought this for the Easy Tiger Art Show, which you can see in a previous video. And so I just wanted to try it out. It worked out really great. I had to play around with different blades to get the right one to cut through this maple and walnut, but I found it. It worked out pretty great. How cool is it? Yeah! bunch of sanding. Oh yeah, I'm still recording. Paddle is all cut. Did it on a scroll saw. Never used one of those before. That's fun. Came out pretty good. Now I gotta sand down to the line and clean up these edges. This is just gonna blend into the walnut. And the most important part, I gotta bevel this edge down so I can scoop up the pizza. So let's go. So I traced out a rough line of where I wanted the bevel to go, and then it was hand tool time. And play. This is sped up about 20 times. It did take a while. Wrong way, idiot. Does anyone else talk to themselves while they do this? Take a break for a second. So I don't know who noticed, but I just went the wrong way with the planer. If you go the wrong way against the grain, it'll peel the grain up and you'll get tear out, which I got here, which isn't a big deal at all. It's not a problem. It can be fixed. It's almost fixed already. But I call myself an idiot for doing it. I don't know why. I talk to myself the whole time while I'm doing this. But I just called myself an idiot, so I thought I'd just take a second to say that that's a thing I do, and it's not cool, and it's not fair to myself. You may see it a lot on this channel, but I'm gonna try real hard not to do that. This is looking really cool. I'm very happy with what I've done so far. So I'm gonna keep going, try to be kinder to myself. I hope you do the same. Let's continue. See, that tear out is gone already. That's how easy that was to fix. No need for names. Once I got the bevel pretty good, I knew I was going to be sanding, so more of this would come off. I just wanted to get the profile right, and now it was time for all of the sanding. This is a pretty common woodworking thing. You scribble all over the piece with pencil, and then once all the pencil markings are gone, you know that you've covered the whole surface with the sandpaper, and then you can go to the next grit. So I started with 80 grit sandpaper, did the whole thing, and then moved up to 120, and then 150, and then I finished with 240. So this whole process is repeated for each grit, scribbling on with the pencil, and then sanding the entire thing until all the pencil markings are gone. It takes a long time, but I'm a weirdo. I like this process. It's very calming for me, very meditative almost. It was about this point that I had a thought. Is the handle chunky enough? I cut this scrap piece of walnut to size just to see how it would look, and I really liked it. So I sent this off to the client to see how they felt about the chunky handle. And here's the option for the beefy handle. So it's twice the thickness for the handle, or we can just do the regular thickness. So it's all one level, whichever you prefer. Spoiler alert, they loved the chunky handle, so it was time to glue that on. These glue ups can be a little tricky because you need a lot of glue to hold it, but the glue also makes it slip and slide around. So I just had to take my time, be very careful. These Bessie clamps really helped to hold it in place. I've heard you can sprinkle some salt in the glue or some sand to give it some grit. I might try that one day, but I just took my time on this and it worked out great. So now it's back to sanding. I did the first round by hand just to get the glue off and make sure that my glue up had gone well, and it did. So then I alternated between the random orbit sander and hand sanding, which again took a long time. I think this is sped up 20 times. So I was here for a while. This is the final round of sanding with 240 grit sandpaper. After that, it came out so smooth. It was great, but there was still one step left in the sanding process, and it's my favorite one. It's called popping the grain. And the idea is you add moisture to it after your final sanding, which causes the grain to pop, to open up, and it gives it a rough texture, which you then sand down again to be smooth. This opens up the grain a little more to be able to accept finish or stain if you're the kind of person who likes to put stain on things. You don't have to do this step for every project. I like to do it just because it's fun, but it does help ensure that once moisture is added to it through a finish or a stain, it's not gonna make the surface feel rough. It's gonna keep it feeling smooth. It's just a fun last step to make sure that the end product is as good as it possibly could be. So now we get to the laser. They asked that their logo be engraved on the paddle. So this is me doing some tests to see how dark they wanted it. And they chose kind of a medium dark. So we took it over to the X-Tool M1 and engraved that logo. I can't lie, this was the most nerve-wracking part of the whole project. If I got all of this way and I somehow messed it up with the laser, it would have ruined the whole peel and I would have had to start over. But thankfully, it turned out perfect. I even engraved the Woodbeard logo on the back. One final step before finishing, I drilled a hole in the handle so they could hang this up if needed. I applied a coat of my Woodbeard Finish, which is simply mineral oil and beeswax. It's food safe and perfect for a project like this. I rub in a layer all over the pizza peel, and then I let it sit for about an hour. Came back and I wiped off all the excess. And it was done. I, of course, got in some silly shots with it before I turned it over. There it is. It's all done. They're coming by to pick it up today. I hope they're gonna like it. So that's it. That's the pizza peel. I'm really proud of how this turned out, and even better, Matt loved it. He was pleasantly surprised and told me he loved it so much that he doesn't want to use it. He doesn't want to ruin it by actually using it. So it's hanging up on their wall as kind of a piece of art, which is pretty cool. But I still want to know if I'm good at making these things, if they actually are usable. So I'm clearly going to have to make more. I told Matt I'd make him another one that he can actually use and let me know how it works. And I'll make one for myself because Brian and I make our own little mini pizzas here at home. So I'm going to make more and I'll follow up with how it actually works, how practical my design is. Really quickly before I go, I want to shout out my friend Baymud, who let me use his music for this video. So go check him out. I left a link to his YouTube channel below and his Bandcamp. Go buy his music, buy music, support musicians and artists. So that's it for this one. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you on the next one.